Last up for this worksheet, we're going to look at percent of increase or decrease. So this is kind of an application to the formula percent, but it's just got a little extra something to it. So note, percent of increase or decrease problems focus on a change in two values. So that's really important. You're looking at a change between two numbers. This change will represent some percent of the original value. Okay? So the formula for percent of increase or decrease is we find the difference in the two quantities. That means we subtract the two quantities, you divide by the original quantity, and then you just multiply by 100, and that'll tell you what the percent is. And this right here, this multiplication of 100, it basically converts a decimal to a percent. So some books will not show this times 100, other books will. I decided to go ahead and just show you the times 100, but ultimately when you divide the difference in the two quantities by the original, you get the decimal and you can easily convert it to a percent, but if you go ahead and just multiply by 100, it automatically converts it back to percent form for you, okay? So let's practice this. So example 5 says, find the percent of increase or percent of decrease. Okay. So for part A, it says a sporting good store buys cross-training shoes for $40 and sells them for 72. So they buy them at only 40, but then they of course mark them up so they can make a profit. So they mark them up and then end up selling them for $72. So what we want to know is, what is that markup? Kind of like, what is the percent of increase in these two prices? So we first want to figure out the difference. So we're going to take 72 and subtract 40. And then we want to divide by the original value. So in this case, this sporting goods store, they bought these for $40. That was the original cost of the shoes. So we're going to divide by 40. And if we did this right here, it would give us a decimal, and we could easily just move the decimal twice and convert this to a percent. But I'm going to go ahead and just multiply by 100. So let's do a little work here. 72 minus 40 is 32. So we're going to get 32 divided by 40 times 100. And we can go to the calculator for this. So we could do 32 divided by 40 and then just automatically multiply by 100. And we get 80. Now, it's not just plain old 80, it's 80%. So then you always want to describe your answer. So minimum, you want 80 with a percent symbol. But it's even better to say the percent of increase in the price of the shoes is 80%. Don't forget to describe your answers when you're dealing with word problems, okay? Part B, in 2001, Penny bought a house for $150,000. Last year, she sold the house for $130,000. That means she sold it at a loss. What is the percent of decrease for the price of the house? So this day and age, this would never have happened. She would have bought it a few years ago and it'd be worth so much more now, but that's a story for a different time. In this case, she sold the house at a loss. We first need to figure out what the loss is. So that is just the difference in the two values. So I'm going to take 150,000, I'm going to subtract 130,000. And then I want to divide by the original quantity. In this case, the original quantity is what Penny bought the house for. So the original quantity is the 150,000. And then I multiply by 100. Now I'm going to clean this up a little bit. 150,000 minus 130,000, hopefully you can see, is 20,000. So we're going to take 20,000 divided by 150,000 and then multiply by 100. So again, you can just do this on your calculator. So 20,000 divided by 150,000. And then I'm going to multiply it by 100. And we get this big old mess. We get 13.333 dot, dot, dot. So basically, this is 13.3 repeating percent. Hopefully, you know that 0.3 repeating is just 1/3. So you could write this as 13 and a third percent. Or you could write it as 13.3 with that little over bar over the 3. If you have a repeating decimal, you put a little bar over the smallest part that repeats, and it just indicates to the reader, hey, this part repeats. These two things are the same, okay? And at minimum, you have to write the answer with a percent, but it's even better if you say the percent of decrease in the value of the home was 13 and a third percent. Always, always, always describe your answers. So this worksheet, we've done quite a bit. We looked at just evaluating a formula, writing a formula, solving a formula, and then we looked very specifically at the percent formula and then the percent of increase or percent of decrease formulas. So this gives you kind of a broad overview of formulas. In the next video, we're going to look much more at that direct translation. So taking words and creating math out of that.